In this tank lies a swamp ecosystem, a chunk of nature in my bedroom. Let me show you how this swamp all started. On day 1, I started with an empty tank. I got this free fish tank from my local pet store for hitting 1,000 likes on our first video. Honestly, I didn't know what I wanted to do with this tank, but I got a comment on my last video saying, build a swamp ecosystem, and honestly that sparked my interest. The store owner also said if this video gets 5,000 likes, then he will give me a mini reef tank. After I set up our tank, I put together a list of materials for our swamp ecosystem. After 2 hours of driving around the city, I picked up everything we need to build this swamp ecosystem. This will be my most complicated build, but honestly I'm really excited. To start the build, we're going to start the base layer of our foundation with dirt. Come on now, it wouldn't be a swamp without mud. I picked up this bag of organic potting mix. This bag is a special type of substrate that can be used in aquarium. If you look here on the back of the bag, we can see the phosphate levels are 0.06. Phosphate levels need to be under 0.1 in aquarium potting mix because high phosphate levels contribute to algae growth, which can harm the health of your aquatic plants and animals. So I poured a nice amount of the potting mix into this bucket and took it back to the tank. We want to create a nice thick layer at the bottom of this tank to provide a solid foundation and also provide room for our plants to develop strong roots under the swamp. Once our dirt is set, we are going to add a fine layer of play sand to the foundation to cap the dirt from entering the water column. It's important we don't let any dirt into the water column or we will have major issues. I also got this fine gravel that we can add to the sand to give it some texture and style. This fine gravel also contains beneficial bacteria that will help set up our swamp ecosystem. With the base layer of our swamp ecosystem set, we will move on to the hardscape. But first, we need to add a special touch to make this feel like a swamp. This tourist took a wrong turn and got stuck in the swamp. Now they'll be forever remembered in our ecosystem. Now back to the real hardscape. We got a bunch of driftwood and PVC to make some custom decorations. I want the scape to be mainly wooded with accents of moss. So I started to play with the different pieces of driftwood and came up with this. Honestly, when I first started to build tanks, I hated setting up the tank, but now I'm starting to fall in love with the whole process. Now that our driftwood is set, we're going to start to add 2 different types of moss to our swamp, Java moss and flame moss. Don't ask me the difference because I can't tell you. Let me know down in the comments below if you can tell the difference. I also got this PVC pipe because I want to create some cool pipes and hideouts. Now we need to decorate these pipes so they don't look so plain. For the singular pipes, I'm going to use some of our fine gravel to coat the outside. I added some aquarium safe silicone to help stick the gravel to the pipes. While we wait for those to dry, let's decorate the triple stack. For the triple stack, I want to add some moss. So I took a whole cup of moss and spread it across the top. I'm also going to take some river stones from our river ecosystem to make some custom moss balls. I want this simulation to feel as real as possible, so we need it to look swampy. Now, we just need to grab a couple more plants from the pet store to finish off this build. While I was at the pet store, I saw these cool crabs, but someone told me they are trapped in there. Red claw crabs need an enclosure with water and land. So if you want me to come back to save these crabs and build them a dream tank, comment, save the crabs. Anyways, I got some of the materials we need, but they didn't have moss balls. So I put in an order for moss balls and got these cool wood pieces. They look like broken down logs, and I think they would look perfect in the swamp. So I added the logs to our ecosystem and went to see if our gravel pipes were dry. These custom pipes look pretty cool, and after placing our gravel pipes, the swamp ecosystem is almost done. I just needed to add this nice glass lid and a light to the top of our ecosystem. I'm going to be moving the swamp ecosystem off my desk into this rack After adding our water, let's give the swamp ecosystem some time to cycle. After a week, I came back to check on the swamp ecosystem, and it seems to be doing well. It seems though some of our driftwood are starting to release tannins, which is crazy because I boiled these pieces for over 2 hours. Mom, if you're watching this, sorry. I used your pot. Hopefully our swamp doesn't turn dark brown like our river ecosystem. I got a call from my local pet store that our moss balls and first editions are ready for pickup. So I picked up our 2 different style moss balls, a regular ball and one with a plant sticking out. These will add more greenery to the tank and hopefully create a safe haven. Since everyone loved the shrimp in my first 2 videos, I picked up another batch of mixed colored shrimp. If you want to see me set up a giant shrimp ecosystem with hundreds of colorful shrimp, then like today's video. Once we acclimated our shrimp, we added them to the ecosystem to start exploring. It seems like our shrimp are settling in, so I'll be back in a couple days. Our swamp ecosystem seems to be doing great. Until I saw this. These are mosquito larvae. They must have entered the ecosystem hiding in the moss. If we don't get this under control quickly, we will have a huge issue. This got me thinking. Our floor and wood is covered with life, but there's nothing in the top half of the tank. Let me introduce you to our glow light tetras. The glow light tetra is one of the most popular of all tetras. Small and slender, they reach an adult size of only 1.5 inches in length. These tetras are a great addition to our swamp ecosystem because they will eat the mosquito larvae and will be perfect tank mates for our future inhabitants. Let's give our new addition some time to check out the swamp ecosystem. It's been 2 weeks since we started this swamp, and we are starting to get these floating plants on the top of the ecosystem. It looks like this duckweed made its way into the ecosystem when we added the moss balls. Honestly, I think it looks pretty cool, but we need a couple more things to finish off this swamp. So I put in a special order to the pet store, and they said it should be here next week. Now that we have our special order placed, I introduced some flake food to the ecosystem to see how our inhabitants would react. Check out this tetra tearing apart a flake like a shark. These flakes created a feeding frenzy. Now that our inhabitants are happy, let's give them some time to explore. I got a call from the pet store that our special order has finally arrived. This honestly might be one of my coolest pets yet. Meet Fred the frog. Fred is an African dwarf frog. African dwarf frogs are a fully aquatic frog that lives their entire lives underwater. These frogs need to rise to the surface to breathe air as they have lungs and not gills. Let's give Fred some time to check out the swamp ecosystem. When I woke up this morning, I came to check on the ecosystem, and it seems like everything is going well. I'm going to see if Fred and our bottom feeders are hungry. So I dropped in some high protein sinking pellets, and the shrimp reacted first. Then Fred came to check out what's up and got his share. Check out Fred share this pellet with the shrimp, but he scared him away. I think Fred believes it's playtime. It looks like our shrimp seem to be enjoying the pellets, so let's give some floating pellets for our tetras. Our tetras can't eat the sinking pellets, so I got these micro pellets for them to try. With everything fed, let's give our pets some time to relax, because next week I have a surprise for Fred. After 1 month of our swamp being established, everything seems perfect, except Fred looks kinda lonely. He tries to play with the shrimp, but ends up running them over. And our tetras want nothing to do with him, so I think it's time to get Fred a girlfriend. So I pulled out my phone and started the search. Nope. Okay, now we're talking. So I did Fred a favor and drove over to pick up his girlfriend. Let me introduce you to Sally. Sally is a dwarf African frog like Fred, but an albino variation. An albino frog is very rare because they are easy targets for predators in the wild. Most albino frogs don't survive long enough to pass on their unusual color. Hopefully now Sally will forever be safe in the swamp ecosystem. After I acclimated Sally, I added her into the swamp and she wasted no time starting to explore. Fred was shy at first and would hide under the moss ball. He must be thinking of a way to impress. Sally would swim by a couple times, but I don't think she noticed him. I even saw Sally later taking a nap in the pipe. Let's give them some time to get used to each other. I woke up the next morning and Sally seems to be enjoying the new ecosystem. It also looks like Fred is starting to get some confidence. He's showing his strength, kicking himself to the surface, then darting back down with speed. Sally seems to be checking Fred out. Maybe they actually are starting to like each other. Meanwhile, our shrimp population is doing extremely well. I even saw this pregnant shrimp that's a dark black. I wonder what color the babies will be. So I decided it was time to add our next type of food to the ecosystem. I got a frozen cube of bloodworms and thawed them out. I want to see if I can feed the frogs with the tweezers. But first, I'm going to drop in some bloodworms. Check out our tetras tearing apart the bloodworms. I want to see if Fred or Sally wants to try some bloodworms. So I lower my tweezers down with a pinch of bloodworms, and Fred came over interested. Then all of a sudden, he struck. Fred must really love bloodworms, or he's just showing off his hunting skills to Sally. A couple minutes later, I lowered another pinch of bloodworms, and this time Sally tried some. She must have learned how to attack watching her boyfriend Fred. Now let's drop in some more for our shrimp. Check out this shrimp going to town on a bloodworm. Then Sally decided to crash the party eating more bloodworms. She hunted all the bloodworms for the next hour. Dang Fred, your girl can eat. Now that everything is fed, I'll be back in a couple days. With day 40 upon us, this ecosystem has developed into something truly amazing. From the start of new relationships to the beginning of new life. This swamp ecosystem was definitely an experience to remember. Subscribe and drop a like for more videos like these.